Ancient sands, heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred!
All right, y'all. So what's going on? Last week, we were supposed to start same day or next day reviews of X-Men 97. However, some things came up and I was not able to do it like I wanted to. So what we're going to do this week is kind of what we did last week. We're going to talk about last week's episode, but we're also going to talk about this week's episode. If you have not caught up to this show, I implore you to. I really do implore you to go back and catch up because, my God in heaven, the past 2 episodes have just been... I don't have words to really describe how good this show is. You know, I'm not an X-Men fan. I've never been a person that is, enmeshed in the X-Men world. But just as television, these episodes have been next level. So I'm going to kind of change up the style of it. I'm not going to go scene by scene trying to recap and whatnot. I'm just going to kind of tell you about the storylines in the episode and my thoughts on them. So let's just kind of go on that journey together. The first episode that we're going to discuss is episode 5, titled Remember It. Now, this episode sees Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit head to Genosha so that they can celebrate it being admitted into the UN. And while they're there, they ask Magneto if he wants to be the leader of it. And, some people not really the happiest about that. Some people are. We also get a chance to see Madeline Pryor, who is now here, and she's living her best life. She's like, girl, I'm up over him. I'm good. That lady can do whatever it is she want to do up over there. She's not mad about it. She's living her best life. And Rogue and Nightcrawler are reunited. Now, are they brother and sister? Because I feel like they are. I feel like for some reason in my mind, I made them brother and sister, and I don't know why. They may not be, but I feel like they are. And I have no idea why I made that connection. And it may be just me remembering a storyline or something, but I remember that Nightcrawler was her son, was Mystique's son, but for some reason, I don't know. Child, I don't know. I'll be making stuff up. Now, like I said, there are some people that are not happy at all about the fact that they want Magneto to be in this position of power. But he is so petty. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it if Rogue can be my queen. And I'm like, not you over here blackmailing this lady. Not you up here blackmailing this lady. But this episode does give us some really good insight into their relationship, how they came to be, and the fact that they discovered in their past that she could touch him. And so that's what happened, was she was so starved essentially for human touch that she just became caught up in this love affair with him. But he had so much trauma that was on him, and the way it would manifest, she felt like there wasn't enough room for the two of them. Y'all, she did my boy. I just felt so bad for Gambit, because Gambit spends the episode realizing more and more that he is in love with Rogue, that he really wants to be with her. But then he's crushed and devastated when he, finds out about her and Magneto. And it is so sad. And there's a scene where she's telling him all of that. And then he's like, we'll be friends, child. Just friends. And I was like, I almost started crying. I was so hurt, because you could just tell, like, have you ever just seen the wind just be knocked out of somebody? That was what happened. That was what happened. Speaking of having the wind knocked out of you, in this episode, Jean actually finds out that Scott is still talking to Madeline Pryor telepathically. Baby, when that lady found that out, she cut up. I'm talking about she got up in the folks' mind and said, I know you got to be lying to me. Ain't no way you up in here. They been having telepathic rendezvous. And Jean was like, you have got to be playing in my face right now. But no, no, dead serious, dead serious, baby. When I tell you, I was like, oh my god. And Emma Frost is in this episode, and she is so messy, and she's like, she is getting all the telepathic tea, and I lived for it because if I was telepathic, that's what I would be doing too. I would be up in somebody's mind, and then for it to be such strong energy, you know, she felt that, and when she saw that, she was probably like, oh. Hmm. And speaking of Emma Frost, when they're at the at the party or whatever, the gala, y'all, this woman walks up, the woman from the UN walks up, and like she's in a tiff about something. Emma Frost looks this woman in the face and says, "What's wrong? Is it your dress?" Y'all, I swear to you that I hit the floor because I said, "Ma'am, did you have to be that petty?" No, you didn't have to be, but you chose to be. Baby, that lady ate that woman up. And I now, speaking of the whole thing with Gene and Scott, back at the X Manor. I don't know why I keep calling it the X Manor. I feel like I could just say the mansion, but for some reason I keep saying the X Manor. And I don't know why. Because that makes it sound like I was gonna say Petey Pablo. That makes it sound like Hugh Hefner is gonna jump out at any minute and be like, welcome to the X Manor. Anyway, I digress. So at this time, the X-Men are doing an interview with this news station, and they're all just trying to show people like, oh, we're humans, we're just like you, blah blah blah. Well, Scott is over it, and the news lady says something to Scott, and baby, it triggers him down, and he basically just starts reading. And then when all the stuff happens with Jean, they walk out, and the lady is like, she got the camera, she's like, do y'all see this? Like, they are cutting up. So Jean goes outside to go part the water like she's, crossing the Red Sea. And Wolverine goes to check on her. And she kisses this man, y'all. She kisses Wolverine. And he's looking at her. Oh, God. This is another sad moment when he basically was like, you just got caught up in the emotion. Don't worry about it. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. And she looks like, I can't believe I hurt him like this. But he knows I'm not getting too close because Jean and Scott are essentially, in game. And I'm not going to get caught up in this. You're not going to make me get caught up in this. Y'all, oh my God, this episode was full of drama between Madeline and Scott and Jean, and then Jean and Wolverine, and then Gambit and Rogue, and then Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto. There was something going on at every single moment. I was just like, there is no way. There's no way. The party is the big thing in this episode though. Everything else is its own little situation, but the party is this episode was devastating. I literally sat there with my hands over my mouth the entire time. At the party. Ugh. So first off, let's start on a good note, right? Rogue comes down in this beautiful dress, and she's got her arms and her hands out, and her skin is out, and she looks so happy and she looks so free. And her and Magneto dance in the air, and it is the most beautiful, breathtaking scene that I've seen in quite some time. And she turns him down and says, I can't be your queen. And she harkens back to a conversation that she had with Gambit where he was like, everything is not just skin deep. And she realizes like, I can't do this just because we're able to have a physical relationship. And he's caught off guard, but he's like, oh, well, okay. And so Madeline Pryor is talking to Gambit when, Magneto and Rogue start dancing, and she can see how hurt he is. Now, here's the interesting thing. So she starts to get like a little about her, a little, a headache. And she goes outside, and this man runs up to her and is like, "We got to get everybody out of here. We got to get everybody out of here." But nobody is moving. Like, nobody's doing anything. And I'm like, there's a man running through here screaming that y'all need to go. Is somebody not going to listen to what he's saying? And at that time, she realizes this is her son. She realizes that this is her child. He made it. And then he starts to fade away and he says, "I'm sorry, mother." And then at that point, we see this giant, like, it looks like a sentinel attack. And he just unleashes. And I mean, it, like, literally, it's chaos. We wake up and, like, everybody is, I mean, things are decimated. Buildings are decimated. People are gone to the upper room. I mean, it hit like a ton of bricks. And so Magneto is telling them, like, we need to try to get to the Morlocks because they're trapped. So Rogue and Gambit go on this, journey through the city, and they're fighting sentinels and doing their thing and working together, and it's beautiful. I mean, amidst all this chaos, because this thing is still attacking. And it's just this apocalyptic scene, and they get to the Morlocks and they're able to save them. But at this point, the giant mechanical thing attacks again, and it identifies Magneto as an Omega level threat. And so Magneto is doing everything he can to protect them, and he realizes that he's not going to be able to. And Rogue tries to come to his defense, but he's trying to make sure Rogue and Gambit are safe. So he puts Rogue, behind some metal, and then puts Gambit with her. And he encases them in metal to keep them safe from the blast. I am getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because it was, I'm telling y'all, it was that sad. The Sentinel starts, or whatever it is, ramps up its attack. And Magneto has his force field up, but he knows what's about to happen. He knows. And Rogue the whole time is screaming, "Don't you do this, Eric. Don't you give up. Don't you do it." And he looks down at Leech, because Leech was determined. He was like, "Baby, I'm staying with Magneto to the end." And the Morlocks are loyal to Magneto. And Magneto was doing everything he can to protect them. And he looks down at Leech and he goes, "Don't be scared, or don't be frightened. One of the two." And then the blast happens. And the Sentinel thing says, "Omega level threat destroyed or terminated." I sat there with my mouth open, not knowing what to do and how to process that. And then Gambit goes to attack the thing. And he's ready, but the thing has stabbed him. But he uses his body to create enough kinetic energy to destroy the Sentinel. And the end scene, is Rogue holding Gambit and saying, "I can't feel you." I'm not gonna edit this out, the pauses, because that's how I felt watching that episode. And talking about it now is actually making me very emotional, because their whole discussion earlier was about the fact that she couldn't have a physical relationship with him and that he didn't know what that was like. And it's it's beyond sad that she's holding him now and she can't hurt him because he's not there. Mm. Y'all, I'm telling you, this episode is a hard one. This was a very difficult episode to get through. This is a very difficult episode to watch and not feel like I was just gutted. I mean, like literally, it was fun. It was, they were throwing shade. Oh, there was drama. There was whatever happening, but the end of the episode just, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I sat there in silence for about 20 minutes because I was just like, what do I do? And that's what I mean when I say that this show is more than just X-Men. To me, as a person who's never watched X-Men, this show is really and truly good television and good story. And it's making me want to look into, more of X-Men and look into the story to really see what it is that leads to this because my God in heaven, it was it was a lot. But I think that it's worth watching even though it's hard to watch. I think this is one of those episodes. If they don't win an award for this one, baby, that's how strongly I believe in this. This was to me award-winning television. This was an award-winning episode of a program. And it was beautifully done. The music, the acting, I mean, all of it was just, it was impeccable. It truly was impeccable. And I'm so happy and proud that they dedicated an entire episode to this instead of trying to split it up. All right. Speaking of not splitting up the episodes, our second episode is Life Death Part 2. Now, when I saw the title of Life Death Part 2, I got very excited because I thought, oh, Storm is going to have her own episode. Storm is going to have her story come to conclusion by itself. Well, if you thought that, then you would be 100% mistaken. Because what do we get? We get to find out that Professor Xavier is actually alive and that he is now engaged to the Empress of some planet. I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all, and I know y'all going to probably read me for this. I don't know how to say the names, and I don't remember. I just know that that one lady's name was Deathbird. That woman tickled me beyond measure. So when we get the episode opening, Deathbird and her crew are taking over a ship or something. I don't know. They're at war with somebody. That's all I know. They're at war with somebody and they're about to win. Well, then her sister has to make some sort of an announcement. That's when she announces that she's about to marry Xavier. Y'all, her sister goes back later on. I am skipping ahead a little bit because my God, her sister her sister goes to confront her. And she's like, he would have his Milky Way ghetto. I don't know what the rest of that sentence was because when she said Milky Way ghetto, I screamed. I actually screamed out loud. I screamed to the point where I had to record it because I said, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm not going to be loud this time. And I went back and I had the same reaction. I was like, this woman actually just said his Milky Way ghetto. Baby, she was reading. She was not playing with these people. And we find out that Xavier is like in this suit that's allowing him to walk. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I kind of don't know where this came from. And I feel like I had trouble sort of like, it seems like a very interesting story, but it, for me as a person who wasn't expecting it genuinely seemed like it came out of nowhere. And like Deathbird was trying to stop her sister, so she invoked this some sort of rite of passage or something, and was like she challenged him to get rid of all his memories of the X-Men and of his time on Earth, because earlier in the episode he had basically asked the Empress like, hey, can we, vacation on my planet sometimes? And she was like, my emperor needs to learn better ways of manipulation. And I was like, oh, okay. Because what I kind of thought they were going to do was she's mind controlling him situation or holding him hostage or something like that. But no, she's really in love with this man. And she's like, okay, anyway. So then when they go to do the ritual to wipe his memory, because apparently she's a psychic as well, when they go to do the ritual, he hesitates. And so her sister comes in and tries to, take over essentially and unalive her sister. And Xavier is like, I just really forgot who I am. And so he puts him in like this telepathic astral plane where he's a teacher and he's got them in class. And I was like, oh, he really is thinking that he is eating right now, which I mean, it was cute, but it was like, oh, okay. And so he's explaining to them like how their culture essentially stole, this other culture and whatever else. And so at that point, he gets a vision of Earth exploding, and then he sees Gambit, going on to the upper room, and then he sees a Sentinel attacking and whatever else, and so that breaks the hold. And so he says like, "Hey, I want to go back to Earth," and his wife or fiance is like, "You understand, my darling, that if you do this, you'll only be proving my sister right about your people." And he basically looks at her and is like, "Yeah." He basically is like, yeah, I know. That's a risk I'm willing to take, and you're just gonna have to be okay with it. It was kind of not funny, but it really sort of was funny if I'm being 100% honest with you. But the one that I was so excited about was Storm's part of the episode. So back in Arizona, Storm is taking care of Forge, and the giant bird monster creature that feeds on fear is telling her, like, why are you trying to help him? He's the one who did this to you and put you in this cage. And she's like, baby, because I'm going to, because that's just who I am. Y'all. So he has this disgusting thing on his shoulder that essentially is going to his heart. And once it hits his heart, he's going to go on to the upper room. Woo child. So they go first. Okay. No. Let me say this. That bird was tearing Aurora's head up. The bird was tearing Aurora's head up this episode because basically what it makes her say out loud was that she had given up on wanting to be a mutant beforehand. Like, this wasn't just, oh, her powers got taken away and now she's having to deal with it. She basically, like, the burden of responsibility and having that much power just was starting to get to her. And she was, I mean, essentially it was sounding like she was burned out. That's what it sounded like. It didn't, it sounded like she was burned out, but maybe didn't have the words for it. And so she just kept going, because I can only imagine that when you're using your powers to try and save people and those same people are then demonizing you, that takes a toll on you. And wanting to be human, I don't think is innately a bad thing. I think it's just one of those things that she didn't want to say that part out loud. So the beast is still attacking her and it's putting her in this dream state, making her think, realize all these things out loud. Forge comes down with a spell book and basically like binds the creature or something or banishes it. And so they think that they're good and they go off to find this herb that's like at the bottom of a mine. And she's like, "Why would you come with me? You should have just stayed at home so you could rest." And he's like, "Well, I came with you because I know how you feel about tight spaces." And they show us where the herb is, and it's like in a very tight space. Thank God she's, a slim woman, because baby, if I had tried to grease myself to go down there, I promise you it wouldn't happen. So it's like some herb, and baby, I don't know why I keep thinking about the heart-shaped herb from Black Panther, but that's what I kept thinking it was, but it's not. So anyway, she's like having to get herself together, and she's got her little flashlight, and she is making her way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and she's homebound, and she's going pretty good. And then she drops the flashlight, and she freaks the freak out, as she should, because I would too. And then the bird thing, which is creepy because now its head is just like spinning in place. And it comes up and is taunting her. And it's like, yeah, girl, go ahead and give up. Go ahead and fall in the darkness. Go ahead and feed me my meal, baby. And in one of probably the most satisfying, let me remind myself who I am moments, Storm starts to kind of like overcome it and be like, I am really up here tripping right now. And she's giving herself this speech. And as she's giving herself this speech, the thunder and the wind comes, and it like the whole mountain just becomes engrossed in this high wind and the weather. And then the lightning comes from her hand, and she shoots the beast away. And I was like, okay, Kim feels, baby. And then my girl, she starts flying. She flies again. And it was so beautiful being able to watch her fly and see her fly through the sky. And then she's flying next to the same horses that she was riding that gave her that feeling of being able to fly again. And it was so gorgeous. And now, here was where I was like, oh, because we get a whole new outfit, which I was like, how does Storm's power over weather create an outfit? I think I'm missing something. And then not only that, but now my girl got a whole new hairstyle. She done grew about 10 feet a hair. So I was trying to understand how we got from point A to point B. And I need someone to walk me down Sesame Street. I need someone to walk me down Sesame Street with that, because I feel like I don't get it. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna figure it out. And when I do, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell you all about it. And I'm gonna say, this is what information I found on that. And this is why we are doing that. And she feels so free, and she sees herself in the water, and she's like, this is who I'm meant to be. This is who I am now, or who I've always been. And she gets back, they put the stuff on Forge, and and he's healed. And he turns on the news, and basically as he turned on the news, he's like, I mean, what you want to do? You trying to get up out of here? And she's like, I you talking a big game, and you might just win a prize. And then as they're having that discussion, she hears about what happened in Genosha. And you can see the tears welling up in her eyes. And it's like she can't enjoy. I mean, they didn't say this, but this is me. Like, she can't enjoy this moment of feeling complete again, because she realizes what she has to do. Like, they realize what's going to have to happen. Y'all, 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 y'all. These two episodes of television are some of the best episodes of television that I've ever seen. And I've watched a lot of TV. And I don't say that lightly. Because I like to say these are some of my favorite scenes. These are some of the best that I've seen. These are actually some of the most well put together scenes, voice acting. This is some of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. And I think part of it is that we know these characters, so we're familiar with them, but even if you're not necessarily familiar with who these characters are, the story is so deep and so rich that you get invested in it. Like Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto, I didn't know about Magneto and Rogue's previous love affair. And so it was like, oh. And so watching her lose both of them in one swoop was so hard. And then Storm, seeing where she started and seeing where she is now, and that she couldn't even have this moment of completion because now her whole world has been turned upside down. These people that she cares about and have come to respect and love are now, some of them are gone. And she knows that mutant kind needs her. She can't sit back. And the thing is, I think that even if Storm hadn't gotten her powers back, she probably still would have went back. Because I just assumed that she was going to find some sort of magic. Like that was what I thought. I thought that she was going to unlock some kind of magic, but here we are. And I do need them. I don't know. It's something about her and Forge being together. I'm like, girl, let that man alone. But she called him my love. I said, okay, well, she called him my love. Then, child, you like it, I love it. How about that? And I need Storm to have her own episodes, but child, I know they don't have enough time, but they could make enough time. They could figure something out. Life Death could have just been one episode. I don't know. I feel like Life Death could have just been one episode, and then we could have moved on. But here we are, and we done got it split up into two. And Charles Xavier and his Milky Way ghetto done got up in the way of her having her very special episode, like she is Butters from South Park. But anyway, y'all, I'm telling you that if you have not seen these episodes, please go watch them. I think you would absolutely enjoy them. So I would just want to take a quick moment before we go to give a shout out to my patrons on Patreon and to my subscribers in TikTok Live. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, please feel free to go to Patreon/Power of G, and you get access to our GroupMe group chat. You get access to our weekly watch parties. You get so many things from being a subscriber. And if you don't want to support me in that way, or you're not financially able to, then please consider just subscribing to my YouTube, or, just tell your friends about some stuff. Tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your friends about my YouTube channel. Go follow me on TikTok. They call me Mr. G. Pretty much you can find me anywhere at They Call Me Mr. G. But I just want to take that time to thank them because our community is growing so much every day. And they're the ones who's giving me the support to feel like this is a good idea to do a podcast that's not surrounding just Charmed. So I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great day, a great evening, or whatever it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you for listening and for just really finding out about the world of X-Men together. Thank you, and you have a good one. Bye.